After a decade spent lost in a coma, I finally began to wake up, though I kept my eyes firmly shut. The things I overheard my family plotting right there beside my hospital bed were enough to make me immediately call the police. Hey, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. If you're enjoying this story, please hit that subscribe button. And be sure to say hello and tell me where you're watching from in the comments. Now, let's get back to the story. For what seemed like an eternity, darkness had been my only reality. Then all of a sudden, things started to change. I could hear the constant beeping of medical equipment, the ever-present hum of the fluorescent lights, and the faint sounds of footsteps echoing in the hallway. My mind fought its way through layers of fog, desperate to make sense of everything. Where was I? How long had I been here? I tried with all my might to open my eyes, but my body simply wouldn't respond. Panic began to overwhelm me until I heard a familiar voice. It was my mother's voice. She's been like this for 10 years, Mama said, her voice devoid of any emotion. 10 years. It felt as if my heart, trapped as it was within this useless body, had stopped beating altogether. I was 23 when the accident happened. The car crash. It all came rushing back to me now. The screeching of tires, the deafening impact, and then absolutely nothing. Now I was 33, and I had missed out on an entire decade of my life. The insurance money's just been sitting there all this time, another voice chimed in. My sister Kesha, $2 million just waiting, plus the settlement from the trucking company, Mama added. Another $3 million. $5 million. The words resounded in my mind, growing louder with each passing second. My fingers twitched, barely perceptible, but they were definitely moving. I was waking up. Every single instinct within me screamed at me to open my eyes, to let them know that I was here, that I could hear everything they were saying. But there was something in their voices, something so cold and calculating, that made me hesitate. And it was in that moment of hesitation that I overheard something that changed everything. So, when are we pulling the plug? Kesha asked casually, as if she were discussing what to have for dinner. My blood ran ice cold. Doctor said we can make that decision anytime, Mama responded, and I could hear the rustling of papers. I already got the DNR forms, all ready to go. As soon as she's gone, that money transfers to us, as next of kin. Her bank accounts, the trust fund. Daddy left her absolutely everything. My father. Daddy. Memories came flooding back to me. His warm smile, his infectious laugh, the way he always called me his little warrior. He had passed away 5 years before my accident, leaving me everything because I was the only one who had stayed in school, the only one who had actually made something of myself. He was so proud when I graduated medical school early. I was supposed to start my residency the week after the accident. What about Marcus? A male voice asked. My brother, 3 years older than me, always jealous of the fact that Daddy had paid for my education while he dropped out. What about him? Kesha snapped. He hasn't even been here. He doesn't get anything. I'm just saying he might ask questions, Marcus said. You know how he was always protective of Maya back in the day. Maya, my name. Hearing it spoken felt surreal, as if they were talking about a complete stranger. I wanted to scream, to move, to do anything at all. My right index finger twitched again, this time with more strength. I focused every ounce of my energy on it, trying to regain control of my own body. Marcus isn't going to say anything once we cut him in, Mama said decisively. Give him $200,000, he'll be quiet. He needs that money for his legal fees, anyway. The sheer casual cruelty in her voice devastated me far more than the words themselves. As they continued to talk about dividing up my death benefits, my mind drifted back to happier times. I was 7 years old, sitting on Daddy's lap while he read me bedtime stories. You're special, Maya, he'd whispered. You got something in you that's going to change the world. Don't let nobody dim your light, baby girl. Not even family. Even back then, he had known. He had seen how Mama treated me differently, how my siblings resented the attention that he gave me. I even remember Mama once during an argument saying that she'd wanted to give me up for adoption. Daddy had insisted on keeping me, on loving me, on making absolutely sure that I had every possible opportunity. You remember when she used to think she was so much better than us? Kesha's voice pulled me sharply back to the present. I'm going to be a doctor. I'm going to save lives. Well, look at her now. Can't even save herself. They all laughed. All three of them laughed at me as I lay there, completely helpless. The beeping of my heart monitor increased slightly. I forced myself to calm down to keep my breathing steady. They couldn't know that I was awake.
Not yet.
I needed to understand what was happening. I needed to figure out what to do. When are you planning to do it? Marcus asked. This weekend, Mama said. Dr. Davis is on duty. He'll sign off on anything. I already spoke to him. Slipped him $5,000 to make sure the paperwork goes through smoothly. For days. I had 4 days to figure out how to survive my own family. Through the fog of my returning consciousness, more memories began to solidify. I had been driving home from the hospital after a grueling 36-hour shift during my medical school rotations. I was completely exhausted, barely able to keep my eyes open, but I was so close to achieving my dream. Just 1 more year, and I would be Dr. Maya Thompson, the youngest doctor in our family's history, the very first doctor in our family's history. A truck had run a red light. The impact had been both immediate and catastrophic. I remembered the sensation of flying through the air, of glass shattering everywhere, of pain so intense that it completely blotted out everything else. And then nothing. 10 years of nothing. 10 years of my family visiting me, pretending to care, while secretly waiting for me to die. You think she can hear us? Marcus asked suddenly, and my heart rate spiked. Don't be stupid, Kesha snapped. Doctors said she's a vegetable, brain dead. There's nothing going on in there. She's just breathing, because the machines are making her breathe. But I wasn't on a ventilator. I could feel my own breath moving in and out. They didn't even know the details of my condition. They had never cared enough to find out. I'm just saying, sometimes I feel like she's watching me, Marcus continued. Like she knows. Boy, you sound crazy, Mama said dismissively. That's just guilt talking. You always were soft when it came to Maya. But she doesn't know anything, and she ain't ever going to know anything. By Sunday night, she'll be cremated, and we'll be rich. Cremated. They were going to burn my body, erase any evidence, make sure that no one could ever question what they had done. After they finally left, I lay there in the silence, focusing every ounce of energy on my body. My finger had twitched. That meant that the connection between my brain and my body wasn't completely severed. I was paralyzed, maybe, but not permanently. The neuroplasticity that I had studied in medical school just might save my life. The brain could actually rewire itself, especially after trauma. I just needed time. Time that I simply didn't have. I started with my toes. Left foot first, nothing. Right foot. A slight sensation, like pins and needles. I focused even harder, imagining my brain sending signals down my spine through the nerves and into the muscle fibers. Hours passed. My right big toe moved, just barely, but it moved. Progress. A nurse came in to check my vitals. Hey there, sweetheart, she said softly. Her voice was kind, genuine. I'm Nurse Patricia. I've been taking care of you for 3 years now. Your mama and sister were here earlier. They seemed well. They seemed like they were discussing something serious. She paused, and I felt her hand on my arm. I don't know if you can hear me, honey, but something doesn't sit right with me about them. I've worked in hospitals for 25 years, and I've seen a lot of families. Most people who visit coma patients, they talk to them, play music, read books. Your family, they just stand around discussing money and looking at their phones. Today was the first time I heard them actually talking about you, and it didn't sound loving.
Patricia suspected something. Hope flickered in my chest.
But how could I possibly communicate with her? I focused on my right hand, the one that had twitched earlier. Move, I commanded it. Move, damn it. My index finger trembled, then lifted slightly off the bed. Oh my God, Patricia whispered. Can you hear me? If you can hear me, try to move that finger again. I gathered every bit of strength and will that I possessed. My finger moved more deliberately this time, then back down. Once, twice. Sweet Jesus, Patricia breathed. She immediately pressed the call button. Dr. Morrison, You need to come to room 347 immediately. We have responsive movement from the patient. Within minutes, the room was filled with medical staff. Dr. Morrison, a middle-aged white man with kind eyes and graying temples, leaned over me. Maya Thompson, if you can hear me, I need you to move that finger again. I did. The room erupted in excited murmurs. Let's run a full neurological assessment, Dr. Morrison ordered. And don't contact the family yet. I want to make sure we understand what we're dealing with first. This is extraordinary. 10 years in a minimally conscious state, and now she's showing purposeful movement. They ran tests, shining lights in my eyes. I could see the brightness behind my closed lids, touching different parts of my body, asking me to move corresponding fingers. I couldn't do everything, but I was able to respond. They discovered that I had locked-in syndrome, fully conscious but almost completely paralyzed. Except that I was coming out of it slowly, regaining function. This is remarkable, Dr. Morrison said. Her brain scans show significant activity. I believe she's been conscious for some time, possibly days or even weeks, and her neural pathways are re-establishing connections. With intensive rehabilitation, she might recover significant function. Should I call her mother? Patricia asked. Let me check her chart first, Dr. Morrison said. Wait, there's a DNR order here filed just today, but the patient is showing clear signs of consciousness and recovery. This doesn't make any sense. Dr. Morrison's voice turned serious. Patricia, something's wrong here. Very wrong. This DNR was filed today, but look at the date on the latest brain scan. It's from 3 days ago, and it shows normal activity patterns. Someone filed this DNR knowing that the patient was potentially conscious. Her mama filed it, Patricia said quietly. She came in this morning with the paperwork. Said she couldn't watch her daughter suffer anymore. That it was time to let her go. But doctor, I'm going to be honest with you. That woman hasn't been suffering watching her daughter. She's been suffering watching the medical bills. Even though the insurance covers everything. How long have you been Maya's nurse? 3 years. And in them 3 years, I've seen that family maybe 20 times total. But in the last month, they've been here almost every week. Ever since the insurance company sent that letter about the policy payout, the one that was sitting at the nurse's station by accident. Kesha saw it, asked me questions about it. I thought she was just wanting to understand her sister's care. Now I'm thinking different. Dr. Morrison looked down at me. Maya, I know you can hear me. What I'm about to ask is very important. Blink once for yes, twice for no. Do you want the DNR? Do you want us to let you go? 2 blinks. Strong, deliberate. I wanted to live. Do you feel your family has your best interests at heart? 2 blinks. Do you feel unsafe? 1 blink. Yes. Dr. Morrison stood up straight. Patricia, we need to contact hospital security and the ethics board immediately and get me in touch with Adult Protective Services. I believe we have an attempted murder situation here. The words hung in the air like a death sentence, except this time it wasn't mine. It was theirs. Detective James Wilson arrived 3 hours later. He was a tall black man in his 50s with a weathered face and tired eyes that had seen far too much. Patricia had called the police directly after Dr. Morrison's assessment, reporting suspected elder abuse. Even though I was only 33, I qualified under dependent adult protection laws due to my condition. Miss Thompson, Detective Wilson said gently, pulling a chair up beside my bed. I'm going to ask you yes or no questions. Blink once for yes, twice for no. We'll go slow. Is that okay? 1 blink. Did you hear your family members discussing your death? 1 blink. My heart monitor beeped faster. It's okay. You're safe now, he assured me. Did they discuss financial gain from your death? 1 blink. Did they mention a specific timeline? 1 blink. Was it soon? Within a week? 1 blink. Detective Wilson's jaw tightened. Did they mention this weekend? 1 blink. A tear rolled down my cheek. The first time I'd been able to produce tears since waking up. Did multiple family members participate in this discussion? 1 blink. More than 2 people? 1 blink. He pulled out his phone and made a call. Yeah, it's Wilson. I need surveillance authorization for room 347 at City General. Suspected conspiracy to commit murder. Patient is conscious and has confirmed overhearing plans. I need audio and video, and I need it yesterday. Within an hour, they had installed hidden cameras and microphones throughout my room. Dr. Morrison had been magnificent. He had called Mama and told her that there were some complications with my care, that she should come in tomorrow to discuss my treatment plan. It was perfect bait. The next morning, Mama arrived with Kesha and Marcus. I kept my eyes closed, my breathing steady, but inside I was a storm of emotions. These were the people who were supposed to love me, to protect me. Instead, they were planning my murder. What kind of complications? Mama asked Dr. Morrison suspiciously. Her brain activity has been fluctuating. He lied smoothly. Before we proceed with the DNR, I wanted to run a few more tests. It's standard protocol for legal protection. We just want to make absolutely certain that she's not showing any signs of potential recovery. We already decided, Kesha said sharply. The DNR is signed. We're pulling the plug this weekend, like we planned. I understand your position, Dr. Morrison said carefully. But for the hospital's liability protection, we need to run these tests. It'll take a few days. We can schedule the discontinuation of care for Monday instead. After Dr. Morrison left, they gathered around my bed. Detective Wilson was in the next room, listening to every word. Something ain't right, Marcus said. Why would they suddenly care about more tests? Because they're covering their asses, Mama said dismissively. The hospital doesn't want any lawsuit. Let them run their little tests. Come Monday, she's done, and we're rich. I already got the funeral home picked out, Kesha said. Cheapest one I could find. Cremation, no service. We ain't wasting money on no fancy funeral. Smart, Mama agreed. The less attention, the better. People might start asking questions about why we never visited much. Why we're suddenly so eager to pull the plug right when she's supposed to get better. She ain't getting better, Marcus said, but his voice wavered. Look at her. She's been like this for 10 years, and she'll be like this forever. Stop being soft, Kesha snapped. This money is ours. Daddy left everything to her because he always thought she was so special, so smart. Well, being smart didn't stop that truck from hitting her, did it? You know what I'm going to do with my share? Kesha continued, her voice dripping with venom. I'm going to buy that boutique downtown, the one Maya always said she wanted to open after she became a doctor. She had all these big dreams. Open a practice, give back to the community, help people. Well, I'm going to help myself instead. Something inside me shattered. It wasn't just about the money or the betrayal. It was about them taking pleasure in destroying my dreams, in mocking everything that I had worked for. I had spent my entire life trying to make Daddy proud, trying to prove that his faith in me wasn't misplaced. And these people, my own blood, were laughing at my expense. My hand twitched violently. Did you see that? Marcus asked, stepping back. See what? Mama moved closer. Her hand moved. Boy, that's just muscle spasms, Kesha said. Dead people do that all the time. She ain't dead yet, Marcus said quietly. Might as well be, Mama said coldly. Then she did something that made Detective Wilson burst into the room just minutes later. She leaned close to my ear and whispered, I never wanted you anyway. You were Daddy's favorite, his precious little Maya. Well, guess what? He's dead, and soon you will be, too. And I'm going to spend every penny of your money with a smile on my face. My eyes snapped open. Mama stumbled backward, screaming. Kesha grabbed the bed rail. Marcus froze, his face pale. Hello, Mama, I whispered, my voice hoarse from disuse.
Surprise.
The door burst open. Detective Wilson, Dr. Morrison, Patricia, and 2 uniformed officers flooded in. Nobody move, Detective Wilson ordered. You're all under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder. The next hours were complete chaos. Mama screamed about patient rights and false accusations. Kesha tried to run but was caught at the elevator. Marcus just stood there, tears streaming down his face, whispering, I'm sorry, over and over. I almost felt bad for him. Almost. But he had been willing to let me die for $200,000. That knowledge completely killed whatever sympathy I had left. They played the recordings. Every single word, every casual discussion of my death, every plan to divide my money. The audio was absolutely damning. The video showed them standing around my supposedly comatose body, discussing murder like it was a business transaction. The prosecutor called it one of the most clear-cut cases that she had ever seen. But the hardest part wasn't their arrest. It was learning the full truth. Detective Wilson uncovered that they had been stealing from me for years. Small amounts at first, a few thousand here and there from my account, carefully doctored statements, and then larger sums. They had forged my signature on documents, taken out credit cards in my name, borrowed against my trust fund. By the time I woke up, they had stolen nearly $400,000. And the accident, it hadn't been an accident at all. Marcus finally broke during interrogation. He had tampered with my car's brakes 2 days before the crash. He had meant to scare me, to make me drop out of medical school and come back home where they could control me. He had meant to put me in a coma. The truck running the red light had been pure chance, but my inability to stop because my brakes failed that was on him. I'm sorry, he sobbed during his confession.
I'm so sorry, Maya.
Mama kept saying you thought you were better than us, that you were taking all of Daddy's attention and money. I just wanted to teach you a lesson. I never wanted this. I never wanted any of this. But he had been willing to finish the job. That's what I couldn't forgive. He had had 10 years to confess, to feel guilty. He had only felt guilty when he got caught. Physical therapy was absolutely grueling. My muscles had atrophied after 10 years of minimal use. Every movement was agony. Every step was a battle. But I had survived my family's murder plot. I could survive this. Dr. Sarah Chin, my rehabilitation specialist, was both patient and encouraging. She was a second-generation immigrant whose parents had come to this country with absolutely nothing, and she saw in me the very same determination that she had seen in them. You're remarkable, she told me one day, 6 weeks into therapy. I've never seen anyone progress this fast. Most people with your condition need years to regain basic mobility. You're already walking with assistance. I'm motivated, I said simply. The truth was that I was absolutely furious. Fury was better than any physical therapy. Every single time that I wanted to quit, I remembered Kesha's laugh, Mama's cold whisper, Marcus' betrayal. I remembered them standing over my bed, planning my death, and I pushed harder. The legal proceedings moved forward. Mama, Kesha, and Marcus were all charged with conspiracy to commit murder, fraud, elder abuse, and theft. Marcus faced additional charges for the brake tampering that had caused my accident. Their lawyers tried every trick in the book, questioning my memory, suggesting that the coma had damaged my brain, claiming that the recordings had been taken without consent. None of it worked. The evidence was absolutely overwhelming. What surprised me most was the outpouring of support from people that I barely remembered. My old medical school classmates created a fundraiser for my rehabilitation. The hospital staff became my surrogate family. Patricia checked on me every single day, even when she wasn't assigned to my floor. Dr. Morrison advocated tirelessly for my continued care. And then there was David. Dr. David Martinez, a neurologist who had been consulted on my case. He was brilliant, kind, and he treated me like a person, not a patient. We talked for hours about everything and nothing. Medicine, music, life, loss. You're going to be okay, he told me one evening. Better than okay. You're going to be extraordinary. I don't feel extraordinary, I admitted. I feel broken. Broken things heal stronger, he said softly. You're proof of that. The trial lasted 3 weeks. I testified from a wheelchair, my voice steady despite the tremors in my hands. I looked each of them directly in the eye, Mama, Kesha, and Marcus, and told the jury absolutely everything. The courtroom was silent except for my voice and the occasional sob from Marcus. The jury deliberated for 4 hours. Guilty on all counts. Mama got 25 years.
Kesha got 20.
Marcus got 30, because of the brake tampering. They would be old when they got out. If they got out at all. Part of me felt relief, but mostly, I just felt completely empty. These were the people who were supposed to love me. Instead, they had tried to kill me twice. After the sentencing, I went to the cemetery where Daddy was buried. It was the first time that I had been there since before the accident. David pushed my wheelchair. I could walk short distances now, but the cemetery was large, and I tired easily. Hey, Daddy, I whispered, touching his headstone. I did it. I survived. I know that you'd be proud of me, but I also know that you'd be heartbroken about what they did. I'm sorry that I couldn't protect your family. I'm sorry that they turned out like this. Tears streamed down my face. Cleansing tears, healing tears. I'm going back to medical school. Dr. Chin thinks that I can do it. Thinks that I can finish my residency. It will take time, and it will be hard, but I'm not giving up on our dream. I'm going to be Dr. Maya Thompson, just like I promised you. And I'm going to help people, real people who need it. I'm going to be the person that you always believed that I could be. David squeezed my shoulder gently. The sun was setting, casting long shadows across the graves. Somewhere in the distance, a bird sang. Life continued despite absolutely everything. Despite the betrayal, despite the loss, despite the pain, I was 33 years old. I had lost 10 years of my life. But I had gained something, too. Clarity about who truly mattered, strength that I never even knew that I possessed, and a second chance that most people never get. As David wheeled me back to the car, I looked back at Daddy's grave one last time. Thank you for never giving up on me, I whispered. Even when everyone else did. The thing about betrayal is that it doesn't just break your heart. It completely breaks your understanding of the world. But the thing about survival is that it reforges you, making you even more resilient than you ever thought possible. I had lost the family I was born into, but in doing so, I discovered myself. And honestly, sometimes the only family you truly need is the one you find within yourself. If you're currently dealing with the sting of betrayal from those closest to you, please remember this. Your value as a human being isn't determined by the way other people choose to treat you. Your dreams don't become any less valid just because some people don't have the vision to believe in them. And sometimes, the family that you intentionally create for yourself is far more empowering and supportive than the family you were born into. Stand up tall for yourself. Shield and protect your own heart, because at the end of the day, you are the only person who is guaranteed to be there for yourself, completely and unconditionally forever. 6 months later, I walked through the doors for my first day back at medical school completely unassisted. It was without a doubt the proudest moment of my entire life. Not simply because I had managed to survive the ordeal, but because I made a conscious decision that merely surviving wasn't good enough for me. I was determined to truly thrive, to flourish, and I was going to do it all on my own terms, according to my own vision. If this story resonated with you in any way, please take a moment to like this, subscribe for more content, and feel free to share your own personal stories of triumph over betrayal in the comments section below. Always remember, you are inherently stronger than you currently believe yourself to be, and your story is definitely not over yet. The very best chapters are still waiting to be written.